There, this hangout is live.
He's beatboxing.
He's beatboxing. We've lost all the gold. There is no more gold.
Yeah, it's over now. Just shut
I
up.
don't want to do this anymore.
No more. There's nothing. We have nothing.
7 years,
he
guys.
keeps going. He keeps.
I've been doing this. Do you have a newfound respect for me? I've been doing this for years. We used to do. Do you guys remember? Were you listening to us when we did it weekly? We did the podcast weekly. Gosh, what was that? Like 5-6 years ago when we were doing Blog Talk Radio. We did it every Wednesday for the entire football season, from August to December.
Yeah, and
I never actually did it live, but I would listen to it like. I would listen every now and then after like a particularly awful football game.
It'd be like this. It's Jay Money on the Handsome Hour. We got a caller coming in. Ryan, what do you think? And it'd be like, hey guys, love the show. Hey, I got a question for you. Is there do you think there's a way that that you could commission Morgan Burke to move the student section? Because I just think the acoustics are horrible where they sit right now.
He's been working on this. You could.
I'll hang up and I'll listen for your answer. You guys are great.
Actually, nobody would hang up and listen. People would want to talk to us for 45 minutes.
Forever.
And you're like, but Ryan would just keep talking to him, and I'd be like, oh, we got to wrap this up.
Into a guest appearance.
They did. Every one of them, because we didn't know how to, you listen to talk sports radio, and they just know how to cut them off. But, all right, well, Ryan has some lovemaking to do, so we need to.
That is true.
We need to get to it. I have no idea what
seriously right now. Yes.
All right. Welcome to the Handsome Hour. I am Jay. We have a family Handsome Hour. Family size Handsome Hour? I don't know what we call it, but it's a group of men. It's a group of sweaty men all clustered together in a small country.
I am 100% sweaty. There's a 100% chance that I'm sweaty. Yeah.
And that's Anish. You're hearing it there.
Hello.
We also
Not
have.
to be confused with me, Michael.
That's true.
I have Mike, and you also have Boiler Dad. Mr.
Joy to the world.
You sounded so disappointed when you said Boiler Dad was joining us.
Exactly.
It's because I've been having to say that for so many years, and I'm like, he's still here. He hasn't. Tim left, and the panda guy left, and the girl we had for about a minute got herself fired.
She was the best.
She was the best hire we've ever made.
I stopped reading after you guys booted her.
You put in her? Yeah, I don't blame you. I think a lot of people did.
Yeah, that was a big loss.
So we talked about it. Well, first of all, we haven't had a Handsome Hour in months. I don't think we've, I guess the last time we had a Handsome Hour was before Purdue basketball started to look good again. and now we've bookended it nicely. And in the meat of all the good stuff, you guys got to get on the basketball beat. But I got a question to start us off, because I think, and you guys tell me, I think we got a few things we want to talk about. I think it's worth talking a little bit about the conclusion of the season, because what I think was funny in a painful way, is the season ended, and Ryan put up that post. Then he edited it because he was like, I don't want to hear from people who are complaining about what I wrote. So he cut it down to like 2 paragraphs, and then we didn't write anything for like a week. None of us. We're just like, the anvil hits the boom. Just like.
Because we're a content factory.
Well, I don't think anybody had anything good to say. And, my question, I guess, is does it change the way you look at the season? Because that's what I kept kind of coming back to, is like, should I still look at the season like the success that we all felt going up to like March 1st? Or do I allow those last 2 weeks? It's weird, Purdue basketball in March. It's weird. But if you look at it without, context of how it ended, obviously, didn't it exceed our expectations? I think we would all agree it exceeded our expectations. No? Ryan's straight now. You don't think so?
I don't think so. You really think it exceeded? No, it depends
Finishing
on when we
Finishing third?
No, but when we check the barometer, right? Doesn't that matter? Because that one synopsis you posted where it had everybody with their predictions. I think mine was like 2 seconds long, which was awesome. Thanks for that again. Thank you.
They only did that because he thought he was the most.
Am I going to be there? Just they'll be like, and we got Boiler down. They'll be like, and that'll be it.
Well, When you get to edit it, I can make
That's
it
right. That's a good
whatever I
point.
want.
That's a good point. I don't even try. So that's a very, very good point. So I guess I get what I deserve. But wouldn't you guys agree, though, that depending on when you asked, I think we all thought Purdue was a tournament team. I mean, could you make the argument? I think you could fairly make the argument that the standing in the conference might not matter as much because the conference was probably a little bit weaker than we all thought it was going to be. So them going to the tournament, competing well, getting better as the season went on, I think we all kind of thought that would happen. Fair or no? Unfair?
Silence.
I think it's fair, but I think we all sort of thought, I mean, that this team looked like a bubble team. And that was after the season started, and it's coming off of beating BYU and beating NC State. And those two wins that probably before the season started, I didn't think that they were going to get. They got. And so we're thinking, okay, it's a bubble team. But if you were looking at the expectations prior to any of those games, I think bubble team might have been a bit of a stretch. That bubble team seemed like the ceiling for this team.
Yeah, I'll admit something right now. We all had conversations, documented and undocumented, about our thoughts of the team after the North Florida or Gardner Webb, one of those. And I was in the can. I was like, no way. And I'll admit it, I thought the tournament was absolutely a pipe dream. I just didn't see the team rallying it. So at that point, you're absolutely correct. There's what. So I'm going to give you that, Jay. That right then, I said, oh man, this is barely an NIT team right there.
Oh,
well, that's the problem with asking such a black and white question, and that would usually be fine. You would usually step back and say, do we feel good or do we not feel good? And you could answer that pretty well, reflective of the fan base. But if you look at this season, it's the most confusing thing in the world.
Right, it's never that simple with Purdue, right?
Yeah, well, exactly. I mean, in the non-conference, losing, getting killed by Notre Dame, losing to Vanderbilt in pretty convincing fashion. That Kansas State loss as well, and then we get to North Florida and Gardner Webb. But then you look at the Big Ten schedule, and Mike and I talked about it, and neither one of us thought that the tournament was possible. And I think Mike laid out this whole thing of if we do this, that, sweep IU, split with Ohio State, and then we laughed because that was a joke.
Exactly.
Right.
I remember that. Yeah.
And it happened. So it's a very weird season, but because the second half was the successful half, Cincinnati game notwithstanding, I think we can feel pretty happy about it just overall. Now it sucks the way we lost.
So you're saying Purdue's season was a lot like Jay. The bottom half was better.
It's all about the middle. It's the middle. The beginning was kind of rough. The end was kind of rough in that sweet center,
Sweet gooey center.
It's generally the softest part, but it was the best. I don't know where we're going with this analogy, but God, I get to edit everything.
But I think we can feel good about it. But if you want to get into the nitty-gritty that we haven't produced any content for, that was probably one of the most painful or most unique stomach punch losses that Purdue has ever handed to me in my life.
Right.
It's because the stakes weren't that high. It wasn't like going to the Rose Bowl or not, but it was just.
But there were people like, I put that up on Twitter right after the game. I said I think that's the, and sometimes I think everyone obviously reactive on things like Twitter, and right after a game you feel like it's the freshest thing. But I didn't feel like I was being excessive when I said that is, in my 20 plus years of watching, that is the most stomach punch, ridiculous, kind of just almost impossible, up 7 with 48 seconds to go. That's literally, I kept saying that to people. That's almost impossible. You have to miss free throws, give up threes and ones.
Throw the ball out of bounds. They did everything.
Win probability was 99.9%.
Yeah, it's almost impossible.
Is that true? I mean, did somebody say that? Or is it?
Using a calculator I found online. That is totally legit.
Does it have a Purdue button you can hit on it? They kind of like.
Well, the Purdue button reduced it to like an 85%.
Like 80.
Right.
Well, so there were people actually responding to me though, just to go back to how you guys were saying, not a lot was on the line. Agreed, but a tournament win is important. It's a lot more than like a December win, right? So people were actually saying stuff to me like, "What about that game against Villanova in the Garden?" I'm like, "In November, 2 years ago? What the hell? Do people really watch sports that way though?" But there were more than one who said things like that. Do people really watch sports and every game's in a vacuum? And it's like, well, they lost a non-conference preseason game once that didn't matter in the season they sucked. Who cares? Like this was very visible. It was it's a game that a lot of the country was watching because it's just the way
if they
it works.
could stay with it, that was horrible.
It was an awful basketball game.
Oh.
And then there was another site. I don't need to mention the name of the site, but the person who wrote the recap on that site, I don't know if you guys saw this. The very end of it said Purdue played a great game and just didn't get lucky. I should find it for you because it was astonishing. And I posted a very dickish comment, but I don't really care.
No.
Well, let me go back.
Shut up. Shut up. Because I'm such a jerk. Is that what you're implying?
Nobody would ever imply that. No. Ever.
Let's go through your Twitter feed. Let's cast. Yes,
I'm great on Twitter. It's the DMs that it gets a little.
Who do you DM with? Young man or something?
Obviously not you.
No.
Yeah, no, I control
Wow.
on Twitter.
Wow.
I'm gonna say the person I have DM'd the most is absolutely Michael.
Yeah.
So there's no doubt. We got something. Don't worry about it, you guys. Don't worry about it.
Oh,
I'm not going to ruin this moment by saying that I don't think Anish is the person I've DM'd the most with.
Don't you hate when you put yourself out there like that?
And that's what unconditional love is, though, guys. You guys just
gotta throw it out there.
It's honesty.
Put it out there.
He's moving up the ranks, but
that's right.
Don't you guys sometimes wish that we could just publish, not wish we could, but publish the text exchanges?
Oh, yeah.
How much would everyone hate us if they saw the things that we said via text?
They're awesome. They're so good, though.
If people in the future can access text messages, I don't think any of us could ever run for
have public office.
Anything,
You're right.
Like anything.
Right.
Well,
yeah.
Oh, I meant to ask.
You honestly think they can't access our text messages? Come on.
Dude, by the way, Anish, I wanted to ask, just like last year, will you be doing recaps of each player that will post sometime around like October or November?
No, I'll do like the first two of them. Well, no, so Bryson already transferred. So last year I did the Ronnie Johnson one 3 days before he transferred.
Oh, I see. So you're waiting. This is strategic.
Yeah, word.
Didn't you do the AJ one in like October though? Didn't you?
Well, no. So I did like the first half, and then I was like, nah. We got time before
people aren't thinking about basketball anymore, so I'll do it when they're thinking about.
We got time before the season.
Yeah, no,
I did AJ and Ronnie first, but.
So
hey, let's go. This is a good lead off right here, guys.
Yeah.
So
good night.
In all seriousness, who is the sauciest of all point guards?
Dickhead.
Yeah, no kidding.
Oh. And then he backpedals like, guys, I could say I'm just talking about what. And you know what I loved about it was it wasn't just us, any of us who thought it was obnoxious. It wasn't other like fanboys who thought it was obnoxious. Like Rob Hummel jumped all over it.
That was awesome.
Like,
see, I don't think I've ever held a grudge against someone for
leaving,
decommitting or transferring or anything because it's their life. They got to live it.
Right.
You know. But to do that and then, act like a jerk, it's
to help devastate the program both by your play and your transferring and your dad and everything else.
That interview that he gave to the Star. Do you guys remember that? Where he's like, "I wish I had more opportunities." You started 55 games.
Yeah.
Was that a lot? I don't know.
It doesn't seem very much.
No.
So it's.
Do you guys check out? I'd like to not talk about recruits, as you know, especially with what happened this week is indicative of why I don't like talking about recruits. The other guy is rock solid and he gets some advice and then he bails, right? That's right. And it just takes one voice in their head. It doesn't matter who it is. It could be somebody like me who's just a jaded old man. Seriously, has a bad day and says, "Get off my lawn!" And they got to get out of there. They got to get out of their verbal commit. Those commitments that aren't really commitments.
Are you sure that C.J. Walker was rock solid though?
he was a guy that he always talked about Purdue positively, you know.
He was also talking to other teams.
I know. I mean, they all. That's the interesting thing to me is they have a guy that commits and he's like, I'm just going to take a couple more visits, and you're like,
that's not commitment. I mean,
I'm
I told my wife I wanted to commit to her, and then I wanted to take a few more visits, and it didn't go.
It didn't go quite as well.
I wanted it to.
Exactly. But you know, another one of the kids who's being recruited hard, who has zero chance of coming to Purdue.
Flanagan.
Have you checked out? Let's see, which name? We're not going to talk about. That.
Oh,
we
sorry.
Just said we're not going to.
Oh,
So,
that's probably a violation.
yeah, exactly. I don't think it's a violation. None of us give any money, so it'll be fine.
Just like the players don't get any money. Am I right, Anish?
High five.
Let's get into this.
Oh, right across the
fight
jaw.
on Hangouts.
And Anish is laying across the ropes. I don't think he's going to get
So
off.
no, but
Anish.
so that other. Do you see what he says on Twitter? That one player, his name or his description has sauce in it.
Yeah, he's Big Sauce.
Big sauce. Is
I
that
think
not
it's
funny?
hilarious.
I'm told it's been up there for months, but is that not? It's not. It can't
Maybe
be.
that's just a term the kids use.
I
I mean,
say
there are a lot
sauce.
of terms that kids use, but do you think Einstein used it on purpose just to make a statement?
No, I think he's just an ass. But that's just me.
That's the analysis. That's the deep analysis. By the way, I don't mean to jump us back to something. I just have to read you this. I finally found that blurb. This is the end of a post. I may not keep this in the podcast. Here's the last paragraph after the Cincinnati game. Seriously, you're ready for this? I'm not making this up. This is not an April Fool's Day joke. The final paragraph was, Purdue played a great game. It put itself in a position to win. It made plays almost every time it needed to. Unfortunately, in a game that featured 5 ties and 16 lead changes, Cincinnati happened to come out on top. Ryan, did your mom write that? I was just going to say, did your mom write that? What the hell is that? Anyway.
Man, like what, 4 of 23 or something? 4 of 18? What was the three-point shooting? I'm not sure about this made every
4
play.
of 26, I believe it was. And Purdue played a great game.
They were shooting. Weren't they shooting like 9% or 7% from 3 at one point?
4 of 26, whatever that is.
Yeah.
That's pretty awful. Yeah.
Gosh, I mean, I saw that stat and I was like, that can't be. And then they showed the numbers. I'm like, oh my crap.
So
you shouldn't win a game at that.
I know we're going to move on to the topics, but we should just close the loop on the way the season ended, right? I think, because on how much do we really want to talk about it? But do you guys, and this is a somewhat serious question, do you guys think it tarnishes, I know Anish is going to say no, does it tarnish Painter's work this season?
No.
He got his ass handed to him, man.
By who?
Yeah, he did. By an interim coach.
No, he did. They both sucked.
They both sucked.
Oh, he should be able to outcoach.
He sucked more.
He should have been able to He should have been able to outcoach him, and it was not the
Yes.
best coaching performance down the stretch. Absolutely.
Not the best.
I mean, there's nothing.
I think
not the best.
I think it's totally fair to say, why has this Purdue team been unable to inbound the ball?
Yeah,
Oh
for
my
sure.
gosh.
But
Yeah.
I don't think that game plan wise, I don't think it was a bad game plan against Cincinnati. I think they weren't hitting shots.
But don't you at some point, okay, what about the criticism? And I don't think you change your game plan just because I actually like the way he coaches Stevens and says, just keep shooting, you're a shooter. I'm fine with that.
Mm-hmm.
What I think you can
Stevens'
question.
percentage is not horrible. The dude just the turnover machine.
right,
That's his
right.
bigger problem.
But what I think
that's a huge problem.
What I think you can question, though, in that game is why you don't pivot at some point to feeding AJ, particularly when their 10-point-a-game scorer gets his ass thrown out of the game. How do you not finish them? They were ready to be finished. Would you agree with that?
They had a guy with my physique guarding Hammonds. That big fatty was trying to stay with him. You're like, you can't guard him.
I think Hammonds had a decent game, but he was also in foul trouble, and Haas couldn't really produce offensively.
Yeah, as AJ says, he didn't. Or as AJ says, as Anish says, he didn't bring his hands. Right? They didn't pack his hands that day.
They didn't pack his hands. The managers forgot to pack his hands,
and that's on the student managers.
That's okay.
Well, I love that people were going. There were people criticizing his game because I'm like, the guy's a freshman. Like, okay,
he had a great season too.
Great season.
Exactly.
Great season.
He hit the wall. He definitely hit the wall.
Expectations.
I think it's definitely fair to say that him and to an extent Vince, except toward the end, Vince kind of got over it. But both of them hit the freshman wall real hard.
Yeah. Did you read? Oh yeah, you did. You why don't you? Let's segue into that, Anish. The Vince Edwards talking about
AJ.
AJ's upcoming decision.
He
What
was
do you
right
think
too.
about that? I know you love. Yeah.
Let me just light the candle. Let me dim the lights, light the candles, get the
All right.
lotion. Just let me set the mood if you're going to bring up both Vince and AJ to me. Okay.
I don't have a joke for this.
No, it's just uncomfortable.
Don't need one,
Right?
do you? Don't
Like
need
I'm
one.
feeling very uncomfortable right now.
It's awesome to have a team that likes each other again.
Yes.
So I sent out a tweet a while ago that got a lot of conversation started. That was, I haven't heard one argument as to why AJ should stay, other than we want him to stay. Like we want him here.
No. You want me to give you the argument and then I'll
Well,
let you
no, hold on.
continue?
The only one to me that held water was that this was the first year. Probably since he was in Gary. Like, I don't think he had fun while he was at Oak Hill. This was the first year since then that he looked like he was having fun. And that's the biggest reason to me that AJ would say, you know what, I don't think my draft stock is going to deteriorate in the next year, and I had a lot of fun. Let's try to make another run at this.
There's only two ways his draft stock deteriorates, I think. And I think the alternative is it goes way higher. I think the only way is one, he gets hurt, obviously, and two is if for some reason he didn't have that fire and wasn't having fun or whatever, and Haas got that much better, and he really lost minutes to Haas. That's the only thing that could be destructive, I think, to his prospects.
So the thing is, if you get paid when you can get paid, and especially if you're a 7-footer. But
here, my argument against it is if he's not going to get first-round money and a guaranteed contract, then the downside, like the difference between next year and this year, he's not going to make less, right? Again, unless something catastrophic happens. But he's got a lot of. What if he took them to an Elite Eight? What if he took them to a Big Ten championship?
He will never be drafted in the first round.
Yep, that is 100% correct.
Never. A 7-footer, never.
He could be player of the year and he won't be drafted in the first round. Do you
on.
know why? He's a 7-foot, immobile 24-year-old by the time he gets drafted in 2016.
Yep.
I don't know if he's immobile. I just don't think he doesn't compare to Cauley. Oh no.
Yeah, he's not Cauley Stein. He's not Myers Leonard. You know, like a guy that didn't have talent but could jump out of the gym was Myers Leonard that got drafted in the first round. AJ cannot be drafted in the first round. And
Myers Leonard,
argument.
Though, he's potential, right? Isn't he? He's what the NBA loves more than anything. You know.
Absolutely, and that's why. And the thing is, this is how NBA teams think, but the comparison I come up with, I see the most, and it's not a direct comparison, but hey, Frank Kaminsky stayed, and look at what happened. Right. Well, you know how old Frank Kaminsky is? 21. He's 21 years old. He's a 21-year-old 4-year player.
Who can shoot threes.
Who can shoot threes, who can rebound, who's a great team defender, who's a very intelligent player, good chemistry guy. That is a first-round pick who's a 4-year player.
2 Final Fours.
But
two Final Fours, National Player of the Year. Like,
his junior year, what were his stats?
His junior year, his stats were pretty good. That was last year. He made the Final Four.
Right.
Yeah, he was good.
And he's coming up. I think that Final Four thing, obviously, it ratchets your stock up because
just visibility. Yeah.
No, I don't. I mean, maybe a little bit, but it's not going to be the difference between a lottery and a second-round.
No, but I'm just saying it helped. I mean,
I'm saying he was in the public consciousness 2 straight years.
Well, maybe Kaminsky's a bad example because he was going to be first-round. Right. I'm saying if AJ comes back and he's like, let's say he was projected at early second round, we're going to a Final Four or 2 Final Fours. Could maybe make a difference. That could push you. That's all.
But at the same, I don't.
And I'm not trying to argue he's going to be a first-round draft pick. I'm not trying to make that point now. All I'm saying is, you were saying what would the argument be for coming back? And my argument is, what's the argument for leaving? Yes, get paid when you can get paid, but is he really going to get paid?
He'll get a contract. He will absolutely get a contract, and he's not guaranteed. If you don't get drafted in the first round, you're never going to be guaranteed money. You have to earn your way onto the team.
Right. And you don't think another year
No, I think you get in earlier. I think you get in earlier. You bang against guys who are your size, who you are going to play for, for the rest of your hopefully professional career, and that's it.
Yeah.
I don't think that staying in college and playing people who are smaller than him will give him any experience for his professional life. I mean, the facts here to me, to me, the logic train goes like this: AJ will be 23 by the time the 2015-16 NBA season starts. He'll be 24 the next season if he waits, because of his age, and he doesn't have athleticism, like elite athleticism. Never be a first-round pick because of that and his age. And every year he's progressed in some aspect. His freshman year he came in, he was a natural defender. Sophomore year, semi-reliable offensive game, but that motor, quote, wasn't there. Junior year, that motor kicked in, and that leadership kicked in. All of those intangibles kicked in. Dude was a monster down the stretch. And then if we will accept that AJ will eventually get a shot against NBA caliber players because he's a very good Big Ten player, 7-footer, right? We all think he's going to get a shot. Then why doesn't he go now and take that shot earlier and maximize as many of his 7-foot miles as he can while collecting a paycheck? Staying in college and developing while not collecting a paycheck doesn't make any sense to me. And reducing your overall career. Like that's the biggest thing. He's a 7-footer. He's going to get hurt. The body isn't meant to be 7 feet tall. So he's going to be an injury concern. That's true. So to me, I don't see a reason other than the fun thing. And that's a compelling reason. I mean, like, he loves his team. He seems to love this team.
In a way that he hasn't loved other teams, and in a way that, basketball is not everything to him. He's said that before. So staying for an extra year and having fun makes sense. But, I mean, I think, a professional athlete, if you make it into your 30s and you still have a contract, you're doing really good.
Oh, yeah.
So you've got to maximize the money while you can. And even if he's not a first-round draft pick, he will have plenty of opportunities to be on a roster.
He will be collecting a check next year if he goes pro. Now it depends on if it's in Spain, if it's because Robbie was a second-round draft pick, spent a year in Spain, and now he's a pretty reliable, like a go-to, bench player. That could be AJ's path, but Spain is the second best league in the world. It's got the tier right below the NBA, and it's got 6-figure paychecks. It's got everything. And if you spend a year there and you get a shot again here, I don't know. I think if I was Matt Painter, that's what I would advise AJ.
It's just too easy to wash out of the NBA. I mean, even look at Hummel and Moore. Like they have roles on their team, but it wouldn't be entirely surprising if they were. If they were out of the league within the next 2 years, just depending. So yeah, I think you got to get paid. I can't concentrate with these types of instant messages being sent.
What? What's the matter?
Nothing. It's blinking at me. It's blinking at me.
Well, it does that, and you should get around a little more. Oh, that's what the ladies like. So, all right. So I think no. Just to wrap that, I think that unless you guys want to talk about it more, but I'm not arguing against it. I think that's very sound. That's a very sound argument, and I feel like what'll end up happening, right, it's gonna come down to his feeling, right? If like you guys were saying, if like, well, that was fun, I'd like to do it again. Or I think there's a lot of, he might think he'll come back, and if not, then I think it's going to matter what kind of advice he gets. This is your best option. If somebody gives him the advice the way you just presented it, then he might. If someone says, "Oh man, you can really raise your draft stock," that's all I think it'll take, right? If you're really looking at it, like, what's my best prospect for making it in the NBA? I have no idea if that's the way these guys approach it, but if you ask that question and people you trust say by going now or by coming back, I feel like that's what's going to determine it. But we have no idea, right? We should know in the next couple of weeks, shouldn't we? Because the draft is. Yeah,
I mean, the declaration date is in like 3 weeks, 2 weeks.
No.
So
Okay.
what's that workout period? Is that coming soon? That
It's so stupid. I don't understand. I mean, it's done to protect the coaches. Like they don't have that exploratory period anymore. And as amateur athletes, they can't talk to NBA teams. So they have to have their coach talk to NBA teams, and then their coach has to relay all of that information, whatever they want to or not, to their players. So if you're someone like Jim Boeheim that wants to keep your players there, then maybe you won't give them the full piece of the information. Now, I don't think Coach Painter would do that, but it's a flawed system. Anyway, I think that he gets one shot to declare. It's not like when Hummel and Johnson got to declare and then come back.
What do you mean?
Right.
Why wouldn't he?
Because just that's the way the timeline works. Like
It used to be that they would be able to work out with teams and get one-on-one feedback, and they don't get that anymore.
You get this temporary period of not being an amateur athlete, so
that workout period was super helpful to Johnson and Moore because they basically told both of them that they were second-round picks for sure and that they should go back. Johnson comes back, is a consensus first-team All-American, and gets drafted in the first round.
And that might be the better comparison for AJ, because JJ came back and he was dominant. He was defensive player, and Jesus, Justin.
What is that?
I don't know.
I see it. I see
what it's supposed
I don't
to
know
be.
how you can't see that. I've been trying to do one.
Just sending these. Okay.
What? This is radio. What are you talking about?
I need a minute, guys.
You what? Did you say I need a minute?
I need a minute. I'll be right back.
See, you guys never have these challenges on.
What?
Yeah. I
don't know what Dowd just sent, but
I know exactly what Dowd just sent.
There it is. Okay, there it is.
I don't know. I don't even know how to. I'm trying to. That is brilliant. The Y in the middle that you made. I don't even know. That's amazing. That is awesome.
Oh man. So I was curious. One of the topics I had scribbled down to talk about is because I kind of think it's. I want to see if we have thoughts or want to discuss the Final Four and the teams that made it, that wound up in there. And are you?
I think I'm going, by the way.
Think you're going?
On Saturday night.
Yeah, that's how you roll.
The tickets fall on my lap. So.
He's a big Kentucky fan.
What? I was going to say, so you said, Ryan, I
love everybody there. I love those.
You said in a text that you actually were pulling for Notre Dame, and I've actually explained to people who've asked me in the past, like, what, who would, because when Notre Dame played Alabama in the national championship in football, a guy I work with, a guy I really like actually, he's a good dude, but he went to Notre Dame, and he's one of those Notre Damers who doesn't understand.
Notre Dame grads are not as bad. They just aren't as
they're
bad.
not. But they also don't comprehend why you hate Notre Dame so much. And sure. He was like, so you got to root for Notre Dame in this game, and I was like, no. I was like, what harm does it to me?
Roll Tide,
Alabama and wins another national. Who gives a crap? I was like, if Notre Dame wins, I got to hear about it for the next 40 years. I was like,
but he's got to understand. I mean, like, to me, those two comparisons are completely different because Notre Dame football, I'm almost looking at it.
Ryan, I do not want Notre Dame basketball to win. That's almost.
But
here's the thing that stinks about that. That Notre Dame basketball team was good.
Yeah,
that Notre Dame basketball team was.
Yeah, I know they were.
They didn't pick up a bandwagon during the season.
It was unbelievable. It was unbelievable. I don't know how you.
They were so good.
They were so fun to watch too.
Yes,
I mean,
they
they were scored in the 80s every time.
Yeah.
Like all this complaining about college basketball, the teams that weren't this stereotypical.
Virginia. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so it was Kentucky and really Notre Dame, and those were the two
and Iowa
most
State
entertaining teams. Yeah, Iowa State
the
too.
Mayor's team. Yeah.
So the mayor, the future Timberwolves or Bulls coach.
See, it's going to happen, right?
Well, Shaka to Texas is pretty close.
Really?
Yeah, Shaka to Texas is pretty close.
You can't turn down that job.
No.
Oh, it's a top three job in the country.
How the hell did Rick Barnes hold on to that so long? I mean, I know he had some good. He had a lot of tournament appearances, but
they must have a real problem. I mean, because think about it. What's his name? Mac Brown held on forever too. Must be something about.
Yeah, but they were still. Yeah, you say that.
They
But
won a
Mac Brown
national
was still
championship.
winning. Yeah, and Mac Brown was winning up until like a year or two before he left.
Rick Barnes 15 or 16 NCAA tournaments. So,
I know, but at Texas, it's not just about making a tournament. Come on.
Couldn't get out of the first weekend with T.J. Ford and Kevin Durant.
But
are you kidding me?
But
I thought they went to the Final Four.
As a Final Four. Not with Durant, I don't think. But
was it Aldridge that went to Final Four?
He had a Final Four like 10 years ago, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
The fact that he could recruit guys like Aldridge and Durant,
well,
that goes a long ways.
But I did Shaka to Texas is a perfect fit. I think
that makes Texas badass.
Well, here's the thing. I think if they waited a couple weeks, and if Calipari goes 40-0, and then let's say the Cavaliers lose before the finals, and Cal goes and takes that Cleveland job, Shaka, we should be considering ourselves lucky that Shaka didn't take that Kentucky job.
Calipari's not leaving Kentucky.
I would agree. I can't believe he would go back to the NBA. I know that's what they're
not going to do that. He
would. Like he said, if they 40-0, and there's going to be just mountains of cash for him. That guy is
he has mountains of cash. He makes $7 million.
He wants to destroy college basketball. That's his goal, is just to run roughshod over every record, every team in college basketball.
That's team that he's got this year. I mean, the luckiest break that he caught was Cauley-Stein coming back, and everybody even a year ago was like, "Really, you're going to go?" Yeah, well, the Harrison twins are going to come back because they suck.
What's the name? The other guy who busted his leg. I mean, look at all that talent that came back.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
gosh, I mean, the talent that came back, you're like, how did that even happen?
And Cauley-Stein,
that group is better than any other team in the nation.
I mean,
Cauley-Stein can guard the perimeter, and Towns can just bang down low. Just incredible.
Cauley-Stein is a 7-footer who is as good of a perimeter defender as Raphael Davis.
He's better. He's definitely better because he's longer. He's longer. I mean,
he's so quick. He's so quick. And it's like, I watched him probably play 3 or 4 times this season before the tournament, and every time I'd watch him play, I would forget the speed at which they played, and then I'd be like, "What?" Because I've been watching for the last 3 weeks, and you're like,
I bet Florida didn't forget the speed that Cauley-Stein plays at.
Yeah, but so I mean, Kentucky's the favorite here. I mean, obviously, Kentucky.
That was their one scare, right? Notre Dame.
Notre Dame actually matched up really. Going into it, I thought Notre Dame matched up really well, and the only reason I thought Notre Dame couldn't do it was because they played the perfect game against Wichita State.
Right. And they're not going to do that again, right? Well, but can Wisconsin? Well, they almost did. I know, but I don't know. To me, that's
Wisconsin. It's going to be a good game. Wisconsin, Kentucky.
It'll be a good game. Yeah, but
let's
what?
Real quick, let's talk about something that's much more important: fashion. There's a debate, an intense debate among the people around me. Are Notre Dame's gold basketball uniforms good or bad? I say good, and no one else says good.
I say good.
I don't like the green
visual.
Love that gold. Love that gold and green. I think that's a great uniform.
Gosh, what is wrong with you? You rooted for Notre Dame. You like
awesome
the uniform.
Why don't you go marry them?
Yeah.
Listen, I hate Notre Dame more than I hate IU, but those uniforms are nice.
I think that gold is that gold the same as the Pitt gold. So these look a lot like the Pitt colors.
It's the right gold, but it's all driven by the manufacturer. It's like, Under Armour teams have a truer gold, and then Nike has the metallic urine gold.
We should have gone. We should have gone to Under Armour, man.
Of course we should have. Of course we should have.
No, real question. Why would that have mattered? We wouldn't be a...
No, the football uniforms would be cooler.
None of it matters.
They're not going to do anything special for Purdue. No one cares about Purdue.
No, I disagree with that. Here's why they did something special for Purdue. They did something special for Northwestern. Very special. They went completely individual to Northwestern. I mean,
actually, that's a good point.
They really value their teams because they don't have a ton of them,
Mm-hmm.
So
Purdue
Nike
is such. I mean, I went on this rant on Twitter and I thought I got it all out of me, but Purdue, even though it's a tough job, but marketing-wise, it is not that hard to. If A&M can be spun as a cool team, how the hell can you spin black and gold colors with the history that we have.
It was.
Like,
10 or 15 years ago it was.
So
I think they're doing better. I think they're doing better. But I think for a long time, no one thought it was important.
Here's the thing.
That's a good point.
Purdue has a couple good things going on inside right now. I mean, I've sang Paul Sadler's praises. He's doing all the design work and photo work inside the athletic department. And I do this, I do it intentionally, that there are guys that I think are really, really good in the athletic department. I think Foreman's great. I think Sadler's great. Past that, though, I got to tell you, you've got some real issues with the way Purdue's chosen to merchandise, chosen to license, chosen to market. I mean, it's been good the last couple of years. Like I said, the marketing's good almost in spite of itself because they got a real talented young guy there. But not taking advantage of the inherent toughness of having the team in black that has a train as the mascot, that has I mean, Purdue's grittiness and the kind of built-in toughness. It's there. It really isn't something you have to manufacture. You just have to talk about it. And they haven't done a good job telling that story. But I mean, it's a sad thing because, I mean, whenever I watch teams that are marketed well, or athletic directors that are enthusiastic about the program and still looking for winners, I'm like, gosh, man, this is tough. Are we ever going to get out of this series or this season we're in?
That was good. That was a good one. I liked it. I enjoyed it.
So Ryan, this is what I wanted to ask about the Final Four, though. So you guys,
if you could edit that silence and just make it like 5 times longer after that.
Well, it's hard enough. I mean,
or maybe you just clicking, tick tick, tick 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 tick, like somebody's doing Morse code, giving the discussion points that I just put out there.
I'm clicking around.
I'm almost done.
For entertainment, because sometimes the lecture goes on so long. Sometimes I can't. It's like being in class. I got to find something else to entertain me.
Well, I was told by somebody that I do things that are distracting, and I'm too distracted.
You're kidding.
You're clicking through.
You haven't taken a bite of food in at least half an hour.
I don't have any food here.
That's progress.
That is true.
Did you move all the food first?
No drink, no food.
Are you guys?
I'm starving.
My question is, are you guys rooting for perfection because you want to see perfection?
Yes.
Yeah, me too.
And they are the most incredible team I have ever seen in college basketball, and short viewership or whatever. But
sure.
I'm
told the late '70s UCLA teams were similar.
Sports teams don't deserve anything. But this team, it shouldn't be talked about as the team that went to the Final Four but lost. This team should be talked about like the best modern defensive team that was out there. Cal did an unbelievable, and has done, and regardless of whether they lose or not, should be recognized. It's absurd that he didn't get Coach of the Year. I mean, like,
yeah, but that always happens with really talented teams.
Happens.
Because it's like in the NBA. Like, they never give it to the coaches who have all the talent because they feel like that doesn't. Even though you know that it's not that way.
You had me until the Coach of the Year talk. He's done a great job, but Coach of the Year? He's got 9 NBA players on the team.
he got 9. He got 15 McDonald's All-Americans to buy into the identity of this team being defense.
That is the key. This team plays amazing defense, and he's managed the ego of a bunch of guys who, if they played on almost any other team, they would be the guy. Those guys coming off the bench.
If Derek Willis played for Purdue, he would have been.
But they know that's the deal. They know that's the deal going to Kentucky. Yeah. They know that's the deal. You have to.
Well, how about this question? Okay, here are some programs that disappointed and were immensely talented, and everybody thought they were going to win coming in. I got 2 that come to mind right away. See if you guys see. Number 1, I don't know if you remember these 2 teams because you guys are a couple years younger, and I think it might be right on the edge. One is you'll remember one, of course. But one is the UNLV team that lost in Indianapolis, didn't they? To Duke?
Yeah.
Oh, they went to the Final
that
Four,
team
though.
was so heavily.
That was probably actually, Anish. That was probably. We were talking about UCLA team. That team, those 2 years, that UNLV team was probably comparable to this one.
They had 5 guys drafted in the top in the first round, right? All 5.
Yeah.
Not quite as good on defense as this.
No. I'm just saying, as far as a dominant team.
But yeah.
Okay, so that's one, and of course the second one is the Fab Five in Michigan.
Yeah, for sure.
And I can tell you, I absolutely reveled in both of those teams losing. I was just eating it up and enjoying it. It was so much fun because I was like, these guys are super unlikable. Yeah, exactly.
I wish I didn't.
Weird thing is, I don't feel that way about this Kentucky team.
I don't either.
Do you guys?
No, not at all. And I didn't. The UNLV team, I wasn't watching ball back then, but I wish I didn't like the Fab Five back in the day so much. I loved them. I loved them so much. But this team, first of all, I want to see this team win. This is a good team. Not I want to see them win. They should probably be remembered. And the only way for, as stupid as it is, the only way for them to be really remembered as a special team is for them to win it all. But second, IU fans will shut the hell up.
Yes, I can't wait. I can't wait for the Twitter bloodbath.
It'll be awesome. It'll be amazing.
You mean the one
I want to bathe in it.
You mean the one that will, like, as it starts to die down, we'll just like poke the hornet's nest and keep it going.
Oh God, it's gonna be so good. I can predict like them just like going after us, being like, well, at least we went. It's gonna be
Banners.
No, you know what's going to happen? They're going to be in the national title game and choke it away, and then we can't even have this. We can't even have this.
We don't get anything. And Wisconsin will win.
For everyone.
And State.
No, Michigan State will win, right? And then half the Purdue fans on Twitter will be like, "Yay, Big Ten!" What?
I had an argument in real life about that the other day.
Good.
I don't get it. I don't get the conference.
So we're all in agreement here. I know we emailed about this the other day, but anyone listening to this isn't privy to our emails, so I guess I shouldn't talk to you.
Thank God.
Well, but that's I don't get it. I don't get it. Maybe we should spend a minute on that. Like there are people out there saying, okay, the tweet I read to you guys, and I won't call the person out, but he said something like, "I'm a Big Ten homer, and we got a national title in football."
That guy deserves to be called out. He was a player.
National title in football and 2 Big Ten teams in the Final Four. So I'm really happy. Why? What does that get you? Except make it harder for Purdue to succeed, because it means those teams are going to have an easier time recruiting. You know how easy it is for Izzo to recruit right now?
I don't think Izzo has the same recruiting track record.
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, he gets good guys every once in a while, but it's not like he's pulling in 2 and 3 5-stars every year.
No, you're right.
But he's pulling them away from us.
But exactly, if it's between
when he does it, they come out.
Does he need to win a national title to pull recruits away from Purdue?
No, but this Final Four hasn't helped.
I don't think it matters.
Did you guys remember that next year he's getting that Aaron Harris kid from West Virginia, that scoring machine?
Yeah, this was like a transition year, right? This was like a throwaway year, kind of.
And next year they're probably going to have Swanigan, and they're going to get this Aaron Harris kid.
I flipped on Swanigan. He's going to Cal. I know it.
I don't think so. He'd fit better at Michigan State or Purdue.
Well, you know where he's not.
Doesn't
That's
matter.
where we can all agree. We know where he's not going.
I don't think
we know where he's not going.
I don't think Duke fits him. I don't think Kentucky fits him.
You think that's the place I'm thinking of? You think it's Duke?
No, I don't think Purdue. Chicago State, maybe.
Chicago State has a better chance.
Chicago State.
Because it's
40 points.
Chicago State. There's nothing cute about Purdue being a candidate in that.
But always the bridesmaid, right? Except this time we probably won't even be the bridesmaid.
We won't even be in the wedding party. We'll be like number 6.
We won't be at the wedding, but we'll be invited to the reception.
This cake is pretty good.
You know what? I wish I could have gone, but the meal is not too good.
We'll be clicking through his Facebook pictures.
Yeah.
After the wedding happens. Jealous.
Their colors of green and white are so beautiful.
If Wisconsin wins, not a nightmare for us, because we don't compete for the same recruits, and Wisconsin isn't going to nail 5-star recruits.
Yeah, except that it's another team that produces play with twice a year that has a national.
They're going to be tough. They're going to be if Michigan State wins, we have no chance at the Chicagoland. Like, we get the 2nd-tier Chicagoland people.
Let me ask you a question. When was the last time Purdue beat Michigan State for a recruit? And if you can answer that, then then Purdue has a problem with Michigan State in recruiting.
So
we're a
yeah,
tier down, man. Come on, let's be real.
Edwards really is the last one we beat.
No,
but
he wasn't recruited by Michigan State, really.
he was recruited by State at the end. But at the end,
Well, that
State
was the
and Michigan.
they threw out an offer right at the end because it was really Michigan, and then Michigan backed off, and then he was Purdue's to lose.
He had
and
like
then,
a cup of coffee with Michigan State. That wasn't a serious recruitment.
Yeah, that's fair. But that's the only one I can think
I
of.
can't think of one that was like a head-to-head battle that Izzo really wanted, and
It's unfair because one of those kind of guys could have been Ray Davis because he was a score first, tough guy from now it's Lumiere, but he committed to Purdue so early that it was like it wasn't even, and all he talked about was Purdue, that it wasn't even worth the hassle. So that could have been one, but again, we get these guys that
like
want
Dawson,
to come to Purdue.
right? Like a guy that just was all Purdue.
Do you think so? Another one
He was a Purdue guy, by the way. I mean, that's the
that's
thing.
fair.
Yeah.
Another one before we get to it. The point guard situation. Do you think we get in a transfer, or do you think that PJ? First of all, good luck to Bryson. Do what you got to do. But do you think we get? Do you think we get anybody in?
Yeah, I think we do.
Yeah.
I don't think we get an Octius, and I don't think we get a Sporty, but I think we get somebody.
You don't think he'll even be as good as Sporty?
I thought Sporty was pretty good.
He was pretty good, but he was really only good for like 3 games this whole time.
Well, he did have that whole ACL tear.
Yo, he had the IU game. I will forever
awesome.
remember that IU game.
Yeah. It's just like Scott.
But yeah, see, and that's another thing. So usually people come at these Twitter questions and they're stupid, and I thought about this. I thought that when I read this first, and then I started thinking a little more, and I was like, when was the last time Painter got along with a point guard? And the only one is Lewis Jackson.
And even that, I think, that was
a tough,
rocky at the beginning.
Yeah, that was very tough.
Even though he was, he would barrel into the lane and miss a layup, he kept playing him. He didn't really sit him down,
I don't think
But the reason was, it's pretty simple. Painter really likes guys that just are stifling on defense, and Jackson would just get in somebody's pants,
I have to admit, Lewis Jackson is one of my favorite Purdue basketball players of the last 25 years.
I love Lou Jack.
But the thing with Jackson was that he was a good leader. He was great on defense, and he was a calming leadership type presence. Even the team respected him. He could score if he needed to, but he was really about getting the offense going.
I think Rob respected him, and that's why the team respected him.
Yeah.
It helps when you have a person that's hanging in the rafters right now, whose jersey's hanging in the rafters right now, leading the team.
But what Painter asks his point guards to do, or phrase that different.
Yeah, but I think.
Rob.
But I think the point guard situation is pretty worrisome, man. We're not going to get a point guard like Octius who can start right away, and PJ is the guy we're going to, and maybe that'll work. But
Painter
I don't know.
needs his point guards to play good defense and reset the offense. He doesn't need someone to dominate. He doesn't need someone who's going to look to get their 14 points a game. And I think it's tough to say that.
That's a very funny point you made, Michael. That's why I'm laughing.
I'm just done for the next 5 minutes.
Yeah, the other thing is that it's like a triangle point guard in the NBA. You gotta be able to shoot from anywhere, and you gotta be comfortable moving off the ball. Those are the kind of point guards that kind of succeed. Or you're Lewis Jackson and you're just this barrel of energy.
So you hated the idea of Dakota?
No, I hate that idea.
Really?
I think
I hate that idea. I hate it.
Dude can't dribble.
But you guys both love how he can dribble.
He can't play defense. He can't play.
You don't need to play defense. You have your shooting guard play defense, or
then who's going to guard the shooting guard?
Yeah.
You have somebody like P.J. Thompson or Edwards guard the shooting guard. I don't know.
Thompson was surprisingly good on defense this year.
Yeah.
I think It takes a guy who is, if you're not ridiculously athletic and you don't have a tendency to be good at defense, you have to be somebody that's mentally dialed in. And Thompson seemed to me like a guy that was trying to do everything he could to be,
absolutely.
serviceable, I guess, because he's not the quickest guy, obviously. But the one thing that was kind of promising is that I think Thompson is steady. He's not like Bryson Scott that he's so emotional. You're like, oh, what's going to happen? There's a great write-up of what Bryson Scott was to the Purdue team during this year by Brian Newbert at Golden Black. Did you guys get a chance to read it?
I didn't.
Yeah.
No.
It was awesome. I mean, he talked about how Scott's biggest problem was really just he was constantly trying to impress Painter, and he would almost get nervous just because he wanted to show so much. And I think that's really interesting that, this kid was just doing everything possible. He just wasn't, he mentally couldn't calm himself down, was too emotional. All the things that, everybody knew of him as a high school kid, was still issues that were there, but it's not a kid that was a malcontent. It wasn't a kid who begrudged Painter for anything. It doesn't sound like it's kind of a sad story, really.
It sucks. It sucks to lose him. I liked him, but
Yep.
what are you gonna do?
Well, that's the thing. I think when Purdue's in the dark ages, in the last 2-3 years, what we all were talking about was we wanted players that were like Kramer, that were willing to sell out and sacrifice their body and just give everything that they could. And really, Scott was there, to do that. He really, that was a lot of work for nothing right there. But he was, he was mentally, he was trying to put everything out there. And,
yeah, it just didn't add up. Yeah, it didn't work. But it's going to be rough, and I wonder if Purdue next year, assuming we don't hit the Octius lottery again, if we run a no point guard lineup, like if we run it with Davis or Edwards running the point. This year, Edwards and Davis in that order were kind of the backup ball handlers before Painter could trust PJ. There would be a lot of times where Edwards would initiate the offense and go to his baseline moves, and I wonder if that's what's going to happen. We're going to have Edwards, Davis, one of the shooters, or maybe both of the shooters in Haas next year.
And how bad was Purdue's offense when Octius was out of the game this year?
Yeah, it's tough.
Purdue is not a tournament team. If Octius is
Painter might not have a job if John Octius doesn't.
Okay.
Right?
Let's not he's not going anywhere.
No, but I got to tell you, how hot that seat would be if they would have had 16 or 17 wins this year, which without Octius, that's what they've got, right?
It would have been a 15-win team without Octius, and no, I don't think Coach would have been fired this season, but it would have been hot.
It's too expensive. But
it's the Crean situation. It's the Crean situation.
Yeah.
I don't think.
Yeah.
I think it would take some serious NCAA violations for Burke to fire Matt Painter. Unless he has like 14-win seasons for the next 5 years, maybe then he would consider it.
I think this tournament
that Burke hates empty stadiums, empty arenas, and another season of NIT basketball or worse would have emptied out Mackey. It took a long time this year before any sellouts started happening. That made me kind of, I got to tell you, there were some things that are pretty disheartening to me. And you can edit this or not, I don't care. I talked to kids who are students who were in the paint crew, and they told me they were let down by the lack of paint crew not being full, and so that's tough to swallow for me, watching Mackey be that empty. And even
I think this year, though, it's a team, like through the Big Ten season, after that Illinois game, they worked into a team that was really easy to root for, and I think next year will be a success. But with in terms of the guys that we can root for, but logistically, if we don't have a point guard, that's going to be tough. If AJ comes back, that mitigates a lot of it, but and a lot of people will be putting us to the top of the Big Ten.
How excited would you be, though? How excited would you be?
I don't. Oh my God! Another year of AJ. I love
Ray Davis as a senior with. Oh man, that'll be so much fun.
I had to. I mean, like reminding myself constantly that there's 100% chance that Ray Davis will be back next year
I know.
was incredible.
Yeah.
And I know Ryan's excited that Brendan Dawson got a Final Four.
There's
Couldn't have happened to a better guy.
Oh man! So
just like seeing good guys get good stuff.
Exactly. Good things happening to good guys.
That's what I always say. I say it all the time off of the air without sports. I say, bad things happening to good people. I get it. That happens in the world. But good things happening to bad people really
that bothers you more.
Really tears me up.
Okay, so I have a question, and I know we got to wrap it up because everybody's got life commitments and whatnot. But Ryan, I think we should ask Booker's question to these two guys.
We can.
Is that okay?
Yeah. I think it might be something that you could have a whole nother podcast about.
I think we could, and that's fine. But I think it's fun to put this out there because not only for you guys' opinion, but this would be something good for listeners to weigh in on, right? I think this is
how much? I mean, this right now. Seriously, we're pretty deep into this podcast. Does it get lost in the wash? Because I think it's something that's pretty important. So, pretty important. I mean, I'd like it to be something we discuss during the off season. So I don't want it to get lost. Use the shot right now. If that makes sense.
All right. So maybe what we'll do is I'll just ask it, and this will be something that we discuss at a later time.
Yeah,
I can always cut it out if you decide you don't want to do it.
Yep.
So, guys, this is the question we were asked, and this was when I was out in Indy for Ryan's surprise, very early 40th birthday party. This came up, and there was a lot of screaming going on, no joke, like a lot of yelling back and forth about this topic. But all Purdue guys, all Purdue grads. And so the question was, would you rather have this is basketball, Purdue basketball win a national championship, but then go winless for 10 consecutive seasons, or would you like Purdue to go to not only the Final Four, but the championship game 10 consecutive years, but never win it?
Give me the championship.
Wow.
Who cares if you go to the Final Four or if you lose in the championship game? Can you even name the runners-up? How many of the past 10 runners-up can you name?
That's what we're doing. That's what we want. We want to make sure people can remember.
I want to remember.
Last year.
I want to remember. Listen, I want them to take down
Illinois
that Helms title and put up an NCAA title.
Yeah, that's fair. Oh, there's no wrong. There's no obviously.
No, there's a wrong answer.
I think you've just given it, but yeah.
If you go winless 10 straight seasons, your program might as well be shut down.
Yeah, it'll give me time to do other stuff.
Yeah.
Spend time with my family.
That's exactly right. That's what my younger brother says. He's like I'd say, okay, I'm done. I've seen what I need to see, and that's it. I don't need to watch Purdue basketball ever again. I'm like, well, it's a good thing because your winners are going to suck ass if you care at all. Because losing after losing after losing, and I would still go up there because I'm stupid. I'd probably go up to Purdue and I'd be sitting there with 70 people
by yourself.
And, half of them would be family members of the team.
Mike,
do I know in this scenario? Do I know that every year in the Final Four we're going to lose?
No.
Okay.
No.
Oh.
Yeah, that's the hardest part.
That's why.
See, here's the thing: if we make the Final Four 10 years in a row, we're getting every single.
We're amazing.
We become Kentucky.
Yes.
And we become a story in the off season. We become a media darling.
You become 5.
Yeah, I think I'm on Dad's side on this one. I think, but I want that banner.
Give me the banner. Give me the banner.
Here's my counter to the banner.
This deserves its own podcast.
Doesn't it?
That's what I'm saying.
It does.
Well,
we can invite the inventor. We can invite the inventor of the question here. He would love to do that. So.
Yeah, let's do it.
But the whole thing that I said, you guys, you have one banner, right? And IU would say we still got 5. That's the thing that I said. If you could say, if we could work out this question somehow, where it says,
the 3-point line was 1 year old.
I think I've made that point a few times that modern basketball, they've got one barely, and 1940 counts completely. But
the Helms title.
No.
No, 1940 was a term.
Oh, there. Okay. Yeah.
I'm saying 1940.
It's ancient history. I mean, Purdue's is ancient history, and I use
87's ancient history.
it is. It is.
But yeah, give me.
Years ago.
But Purdue's isn't. Here's the thing. Purdue's isn't real. All right, I will.
But I'm not claiming it is. All I'm
That's
saying
a hill
is,
I will die on. The Helms title is not a real title.
no, I don't.
I want a real title.
It's a
Give me a real
national
title.
title, though. I mean,
No.
it's a national
Get
title.
out
It
of
was
here.
voted on by one guy 15 years after the season was over. It's not
I'll
a
take
real
it.
thing.
I'll take it. It's a
We-
national title.
Mike and I
I
had this
don't-
discussion off the air that we cannot
we
repeat.
complain about this all the time. It's
We
not-
cannot repeat this. But give me the Final Fours, I guess. I don't feel good about it, but give me the Final Fours.
You would love every year. You'd be so excited for basketball.
I
That's
know
the thing.
that's
I would
the-
feel horrible,
Yeah.
like for 2 days afterwards. You know, maybe that horrible would get longer each year after they were runner-up.
Yeah, you would go insane. You would have to be on medication.
That's what somebody
every
said.
month.
Somebody said I'd probably kill myself, and I might. I might have a heart attack.
I love you're treating that. So you're like, yeah, no, I probably would kill myself.
Every
after
year, the
seven.
run of that would mean you'd be over those 10 years you'd be 50-10 in the NCAA tournament.
So, but the 11th year we could win it.
Yes.
The 11th year we could win it all.
You get
Right.
Caleb
Well, that's
Swin against Grant.
see right there, Anish. That's it. That to me is that's why you vote that way, because you're so looking forward to the possibility of something great coming, right? And so the thing I thought, think of the Februarys and Marches we would have even before the loss. How fun those winners would be. You would just be packed into Mackey Arena, and Jay, you would start coming back to the Midwest at least once, if not twice a year, just to see this juggernaut of a Purdue team playing. You know, because they would have, I mean, all the best players in Indiana would want to come to Purdue, right? It would become, you know, gear would become something that, you know, you could find it in any store in America because all of a sudden Purdue is a legit mother of a team, you know? So.
I agree.
So. But, all right.
All right. Well, yeah. So this has been fun.
Well, here, the gear thing there, you can make fun of me there, but I mean, and Jerry knows this too. There have been two times in my life where you could go on eastbay.com and there was Purdue stuff. One, when Glenn Robinson was at Purdue. Two, when Drew Brees was at Purdue.
I want the 10. Give me the 10 Final Fours. We'll talk about this later, though.
Yeah, it's a good discussion.
We'll talk about this again. And you know what else
Think
we'll
about
talk
it. Let it
about?
roll around your head. It's really in your heart, I'll be real honest. So, I haven't seen anybody change their mind either. That's the wild thing.
So, oh man. So we'll talk about this, and we'll talk about the NCAA.
Hey, Michael, can you find any Purdue gear out in Oregon?
Nope. They don't even know what Purdue is.
That's right. That's right. There was a time that teams on the West Coast or people on the West Coast actually knew Purdue, other than some Ivy.
Wasn't Jim Everett your quarterback at one point?
Oh, he could sling the ball, Jim Everett.
Are we done?
Didn't he kick Jim Rome's ass once?
Yes. You don't remember that?
I think I watched it on YouTube, and he became my favorite Purdue athlete
my
of all
God.
We were in
time.
college, weren't we, Justin?
We were in college. Yeah, that was when Talk 2 was on, and yeah.
The Ocho was on the air.
That was awesome. That was really wonderful.
Okay, Mike's got to go.
All right, guys. So do I.